Imagine losing your brother in a tragic crash, and then discovering you can still see him, talk to him, and even play catch with his spirit every sunset. Charlie isn't just grieving, he's living in a world where the dead walk among us, sharing secrets no one else can hear. Our story starts with Charlie, an 18-year-old rowing champion who spends his afternoons racing side by side with his little brother Sam on the water, their oars slicing through the lake as they beat every team in school, earning cheers, medals, and the bitter glare of their rival Connors, who swears next time will be different. But for now, the brothers celebrate under the sun, dreaming out loud about sailing around the world together once Charlie leaves for college. A dream they whisper every evening when the sunset cannon fires, and they sit by the harbor watching boats come and go like floating castles on the sea. At graduation, Charlie is awarded a full sailing scholarship to Stanford, and while the crowd claps and his mother wipes happy tears from her eyes, Sam sits quietly in his seat, already feeling the weight of goodbye pressing down on his chest, because he doesn't want his big brother to leave, not now, not ever. And that fear lingers in the car later that night when Mom gets called into a double shift and asks Charlie to watch over Sam. But Charlie sneaks out anyway to say goodbye to his friends shipping off to war, only to be caught by Sam himself, who insists on being dropped at his friend Jake's house to watch baseball. And as they drive through town with the windows down and the radio playing, Sam says softly that he's going to miss him. And Charlie reassures him that he'll visit every weekend, that he's nothing like their father, that he would never disappear. But then they stop at a red light, and before either of them can blink, a speeding car slams into them from behind, metal screaming, glass exploding, their vehicle flipping violently until it lands upside down in the middle of the road, blood dripping from the ceiling. Sam gripping Charlie's hand and whispering with fading breath, "Promise me, don't leave me." And Charlie, choking on smoke and fear, whispers back, "I promise." Paramedics arrive within minutes, pulling Charlie from the wreckage as his heart flatlines, shocking his chest again and again until he gasps awake on the stretcher, immediately asking for Sam, only to turn his head and see his little brother lying beside him on another stretcher, covered in a white sheet, gone forever. At the funeral, they ask Charlie to drop Sam's worn baseball glove into the grave as a final goodbye, but he refuses, clutching it to his chest as he runs into the woods behind the cemetery, collapsing onto the damp earth as memories of the crash flash behind his eyelids, his body shaking with sobs, until suddenly, impossibly, the baseball rolls gently across the grass toward him, stopping just inches from his fingers, and when he looks up through tear-blurred eyes, there stands Sam, smiling like he always did, alive in a way that defies logic, saying, "Remember our promise? Every day, after the cannon, 1 hour, baseball, and no being late." And Charlie, broken but believing, swears he won't forget. 5 years pass, and Charlie now works as a caretaker at the very cemetery where Sam is buried, spending his days trimming hedges, planting flowers, and chasing away a gang of mischievous geese that seem to have declared personal war on him, especially one bossy gander that pecks at tombstones like it's sending a message. And while his co-worker Alistair jokes about it over coffee, calling Charlie the ghost whisperer without realizing how right he is, Charlie keeps his secret close, meeting Sam every single day the moment the sunset cannon fires, running into the woods behind the graves to play catch, to laugh, to pretend for one golden hour that his brother never left. One morning, Tess storms into the cemetery demanding fresh flowers for her father's grave, her voice sharp with grief. But when she locks eyes with Charlie, something softens in her expression, and she politely repeats her request before walking away, unaware that this quiet boy with sad eyes is about to change her life. Later that day, Charlie bumps into Sully, or rather, thinks he does, chatting casually about old times and green, only to turn around and see Sully's name engraved on a nearby headstone, realizing with a hollow ache that his friend never made it home from the war. And when Alistair watches Charlie talking animatedly to thin air moments later, He frowns, wondering if maybe the rumors are true, that Charlie isn't quite all there. Charlie buys a remote control airplane from the local toy store to scare off the geese, ignoring the giggling girls behind the counter who try to flirt with him, too lost in thought to care, because the cannon is about to fire and Sam is waiting, and nothing matters more than that sacred hour in the woods, where time slows down and his brother still exists. They play catch like always, laughing as Charlie tells Sam about seeing Sully, about missing Green, about how strange it feels to be stuck between worlds. And when the geese launch another attack, Charlie sends the plane buzzing above them, sending feathers flying as he and Sam dive into the river below, soaked and breathless and happy, until the hour ends and Sam fades away like mist in the wind, leaving Charlie to walk home alone beneath the darkening sky. The next day, Charlie runs into Florio, the paramedic who brought him back to life 5 years ago. And over bitter coffee, the older man confesses he's dying, cancer eating him from the inside. But before he goes, he needs Charlie to understand. Surviving wasn't random, it was purpose. "You got a second chance," Florio says, gripping Charlie's wrist with surprising strength. "Don't waste it hiding in graveyards. Go live." Charlie steps outside, stunned, only to spot a sleek sailboat docked near the pier, surrounded by reporters and cameras. And standing at its helm is Tess, fierce and focused, preparing for a transoceanic race that could make her a legend. The cannon fires. He runs. Sam is waiting. Charlie tells him everything about Tess, about the boat, about the poem she recited from the mast, about the way his chest tightened when she looked at him, and as he sketches her boat design in his notebook, inspired by the curve of a whale's tail. He saw that morning, he feels something shift inside him, like a door creaking open after years of rust. That night, Charlie gets dragged to Alistair's anniversary party, where well-meaning friends try to set him up with Rachel, but the conversation fizzles fast. Until Connors shows up, drunk and bitter, shoving drinks into Charlie's hands and taunting him about the crash, about Sam, about how it should have been Charlie who died instead. And when Charlie sees Tess across the room, he tries to leave, but Connors grabs his arm and snarls, "Your brother's dead because you were driving!" And that's when Charlie snaps, punching Connors square in the jaw before storming out into the cool night air. He finds Tess at the docks, apologizing for his temper, and she laughs, saying Connors has always been a jerk. Then admits she went to his high school, that she's known who he was all along, that she watched him win races and break hearts and disappear into grief. And when he shyly shows her the sketch of her boat tucked in his notebook, her eyes widen as she flips the page and sees her own vessel drawn with perfect detail, every line lovingly placed. And though he wishes her luck and walks away, something between them has changed. The next morning, Tess deliberately sails into a brewing storm against her coach's warnings, needing to test herself before the big race. And when Charlie tells Sam about it later, he admits he could easily win that race too, but he won't, because nothing comes before his promise to his brother. And as rain begins to fall, they play their usual game in the mud, laughing like children until Tess appears nearby, bruised and exhausted, having fallen asleep on her father's grave after the storm tossed her boat like a toy. Charlie takes her home, cleans the cut on her forehead, lets her rest on his couch while she stares at the framed photo of him and Sam on a sailboat, asking why he gave it all up. And though he dodges the question, promising to tell her another time, he invites her to dinner that night, knowing he only has 6 months before she leaves for the race. They eat by candlelight, talking about favorite books and worst movies and dreams they're too scared to chase. And when she finds the sketch of her boat tucked in a drawer, she asks to keep it, and he agrees, watching as she traces the lines with her fingertips, unaware that he's tracing the shape of her shoulder with his eyes. And when he leans in to kiss her, she lets him for a moment before pulling away, reminding him she can't afford distractions, that the race is everything. But minutes after she leaves, there's a knock on the door, and her voice floats through the wood. "Find me," he does. In the woods, beneath a sky full of stars, they kiss again, deeper this time. And when she notices the scars on his chest, the brutal marks left by the defibrillator paddles that shocked him back to life, she doesn't flinch, doesn't look away, just whispers that they're beautiful, proof he was meant to stay. And as they fall asleep, wrapped in each other's arms, Goose nestled against Charlie's ribs like a furry alarm clock. He knows, for the first time in 5 years, he's not just surviving, he's living. Morning comes too soon, and so does the note taped to the tree. Find me. He finds her at the harbor, waiting by her boat, and for the first time since the accident, Charlie steps onto a sailboat again, letting the salt air fill his lungs as they glide across the waves. Tess at the wheel, him beside her, both silent until sunset, when she climbs the mast and recites a poem so hauntingly beautiful it steals his breath, then turns and asks him to join her race as her backup crew. He says no, because the cannon fires, and Sam is waiting. He runs, leaving Tess standing alone on the dock, confusion turning to hurt as she follows him into the woods, only to freeze in horror as she watches Charlie talking to empty air, pleading with someone she can't see, begging forgiveness, swearing loyalty, and when he finally turns to her, eyes wet with desperation, explaining about Sam, about the promise, about the ghost who won't let him go, she begs him to choose her, to let his brother rest. But he shakes his head, voice breaking as he tells her he can't. Not yet, not ever. And she walks away, heart shattered, disappearing into the trees. The next morning, Tess stares into her bathroom mirror and sees nothing staring back. At the same time, Charlie hears the news on the radio. Tess's boat vanished 3 days ago in the storm. No distress signal, no survivors. And he sprints to her father's grave, calling her name, voice raw with panic, until she appears, sitting cross-legged on the stone, asking why only he can see her now. And when he tells her the truth, that her boat never came back, that the world believes she's dead, she whispers that she wanted him to find her, that she waited, that she believed in him. And then, like smoke in the wind, she vanishes. The cannon fires. Charlie runs to Sam, tells him everything. Sam doesn't speak, just hugs him tight, letting silence say what words can't. Days later, Florio's wife visits Charlie, handing him her husband's Star of David necklace with trembling hands, telling him Florio believed Charlie was chosen, meant to save someone. And when Charlie turns the pendant over, he finds Tess's handwriting scrawled on the back. Find me. He knows what he has to do. He begs Tink, Tess's stepfather and coach, for the keys to his fastest boat. But Tink calls him crazy, refuses, slams the door in his face, so Charlie steals it anyway, with Alistair's help, and when Tink leaps aboard mid-launch, furious and shouting, Charlie yells back that he knows where she is, that every sailor in trouble heads for the Devil's Maw, that she's still alive, that he can feel it, and slowly, grudgingly, Tink stops fighting, realizing this broken boy might be the only hope they have. 16 hours at sea, storm clouds gathering, cannon firing back on shore. Sam waits in the woods, alone, rain soaking his small frame as he sits on their log, staring at the path Charlie always takes, whispering to the wind, "You promised," before curling into himself and crying, because for the first time in 5 years, his brother isn't coming. And miles away, on the deck of the racing yacht, Charlie feels it too. A pull in his chest like a thread snapping. And as he looks up at the sky, a streak of light cuts through the clouds. A falling star, bright and sudden. And he knows. "That's you, isn't it, Sammy?" He steers toward it, finds the wreckage. Alistair screams for him to stop, warning him the water is freezing, the current's deadly. But Charlie strips off his shirt, takes a deep breath, and dives anyway, swimming through shattered hulls and tangled ropes, losing his light, bashing his head on jagged rock, crawling onto a hidden ledge where he finally finds her. Tess, pale and still, barely breathing, and he wraps his arms around her, pressing his warm skin to hers, whispering over and over, stay with me, I'm here," until the helicopter arrives and pulls them both to safety. In the hospital, Charlie wakes first, groggy and sore, immediately asking for Tess. And when Alistair tells him she's alive, that his body heat kept her heart beating, that she's going to be okay, Charlie closes his eyes and lets out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Weeks later, healed and whole, he knocks on her door, and when she opens it, tired but smiling, he asks her to sail with him. Not in a race, not for glory, just the two of them, wherever the wind takes them. And though she hesitates, confessing she's been having vivid dreams of him, of them, dreams that felt more real than waking life. He smiles and says gently, "They weren't dreams, they were memories," before reciting the exact poem she read to him from the mast, word for word, and as tears spill down her cheeks, she nods, whispering, "Yes." He lifts her into his arms, carries her to the boat like she weighs nothing, and together they set sail into the horizon, hand in hand, the past finally behind them. Sunset, cannon fires. Charlie walks into the woods alone. "I miss you, Sammy," he whispers to the trees. The wind rustles. Sam appears behind him, glowing faintly in the golden light, smiling that same smile Charlie has carried in his heart for 5 long years. "It's time," Sam says. Charlie turns, eyes wet but steady. "I'll never stop being your brother." Sam nods, steps forward, hugs him one last time, then dissolves into light, rising into the sky like 1,000 fireflies, finally at peace. Charlie and Tess sail on, the world ahead, and somewhere, high above the clouds, a little boy watches them go. Proud, happy, free.